Good morning, everyone. So thank you for taking the time to tune in to Talk Tech with Turtle on Tuesdays at 10. I'm your host, Anthony Vu, automation specialist with Turtle and Hughes, specializing in PLCs, HMIs, and hope you've all had a great Christmas season. And it'll be my pleasure to present the 5034 PointMax IO for this session's topic. So PointMax, the 5034 PointMax IO is one of Rockwell's latest developments in the distributed IO portfolio. It just came out a couple of months ago, and it has shown great strides in both flexibility in configuration and installation, as well as speed and connectivity from previous iterations. It is the designated successor to the long-running 1734.io, so a lot of this will seem similar from an architecture perspective. But as you can see, there are some major changes from both a functional perspective as well as an aesthetic perspective. So for one, the biggest benefit that we'll see compared to the 1734 is the smaller footprint. So on estimate, it's about 30% smaller footprint versus the 1734.io. And that's thanks to a number of factors: slimmer Ethernet adapter card, slimmer I/O cards, as well as higher density I/O cards, and we'll see that in a bit later. The speeds have been upgraded from 1 megabit per second Ethernet ports to 1 gigabit per second Ethernet ports, so you can get data quicker, faster, with more capacity. There's also designed to cover what the 1734 initially covered in terms of I/O diversity. Right now, Rockwell is in phase 1 of the release, so they released a good number of I/O types, but come phase 2 in early 2026, they'll release the remaining I/O types, specifically the AC type I/O cards. And finally, simplification. They've simplified a lot of the part numbers to make it more accessible, less SKUs to worry about when building out a 5034 system compared to a 1734 system. And finally, sustainability. This follows the latest sustainability and eco-design compliances from both EU and other regulatory bodies. Now, here's a quick look at the specifications. So the adapter itself, it's like a classic AE and TR adapter, as dual gigabit Ethernet ports that supports both linear, star topologies, DLR, and also parallel redundancy protocol. So you can implement this into PRP networks, for example, like a ControlLogix redundant system, and use this as the I/O platform in those types of systems. In terms of configuration, how many I/O modules you can fit onto a single rack, you can fit up to 32. So a bit of a schema here, you could fit up to 16 locally before you have to add an expansion card, as you can see there in the middle, 5034 expansion card. That'll enable you to tack on another 16 to get 32 modules. In terms of I/O types that are available, we have your classic 24-volt digital ins, digital outs. We have fast versions of those as well. You have your 8-channel analog inputs and 4-channel analog outputs. You have your 4-channel thermocouple and RTD input cards. And we also have analog HART cards as well, both standard and isolated. Safety modules, they come in 8 points each, 8 digital safety inputs, 8 digital safety output cards. And in phase 2, we'll also see some analog input cards and safety relay output cards as well. Those safety cards are good for up to SIL3 applications and can satisfy category 4 wiring up to PLE. Specialty modules include an IO-Link master module that goes in chassis, can support up to connection of up to 4 IO-Link sensors, an encoder card that acts as essentially to read high-speed encoders, as well as it acts as a high-speed counter, and finally a serial card that supports both direct serial, DF1 serial, and Modbus RTU. In terms of operating specifications, they come with a wide temperature operating range from -25 to 60, positive 60 degrees Celsius, or -13 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. There are also XT style catalogs. These are for your extreme environment, which is designed for corrosive environments. So these are conformally coated modules for insulation in harsh corrosive environments. And finally, your mounting orientation doesn't quite matter for these. You could do it in the traditional upright position. You could do this sideways or vertical, and you can even do it upside down if you wish, right? So it supports a wide variety of insulation orientations. And finally, removal and insertion under power. So if you ever need to replace any of these modules, you do not need to remove power from the bus to do so. You could just hot swap them as they are. And finally, the 5034.io is Rockwell's first iteration of their NFC technology. Well, not their NFC technology, but implementation of NFC. And what the NFC enables you to do on the 5034 PointMax is you download an app on your phone, could be iPhone or Android, and it's an app called Device Tools, which will allow you to tap into any Rockwell NFC enabled device and to do some additional configuration. And for example, out of the box, I can tap my phone to this 5034 Ethernet adapter, and I can set the IP address through the app. The app will also give me quick access to product registration website and any product documentation like manuals, installation guides. They'll all be available just with a simple tap of my phone onto the NFC symbol on the 5034 Ethernet adapter. Now, the 5034 is the next generation of I/O from Rockwell. It is compatible, however, it's only compatible with the latest generation of controllers. In this instance, it will be the generation 8 of controllers. So compact logics 5380 and above, control logics 5580 and above, and that also includes the guard logics controllers, right? 5380 and 5580 or above. And you do have to make sure that your Studio 5000 Logix Designer software is updated to version 36 or later to support this platform. Here's a sample footprint comparison of the traditional 1734.io on the left versus the PointMax IO on the right. So in this example configuration, we're looking at 16 digital inputs, 16 digital outputs, 4 relay outputs, 8 safety inputs, 8 safety outputs, and 4 thermocouple inputs. This is what the system would look like in the 1734 platform. And then on the right, on the top right of the PointMax IO section, you'll see a one-to-one conversion of the 1734.io in terms of IO modules. And you can see that you'll save a significant amount of space, about 2 inches of width, give or take. But if you also go down to the bottom there, bottom right, where instead of using the 8-point IO modules, you could use 16-point IO modules in the PointMax platform to save even more space. So you'll be saving around 3.2 inches or so using high density modules. So you can really see the space savings when compared to existing 1734.io solution. The adapter we spoke about, again, just dual Ethernet ports. They are independently addressable gigabit level Ethernet ports that supports DLR and PRP networks. And there's also the NFC symbol, the little swirly symbol under the part number. And again, all you have to do is download the Device Tools app on your phone and tap your phone to that symbol, and you'll have the ability to configure the IP address and gain access to product registration and documentation. So what this does is it gives you another way to configure the IP address for the Ethernet adapter. So also on the Ethernet adapter, you have the classic rotary switch. If you wish to configure the IP address the traditional way, you could use Factory Talk Links or RS Links Classic software. You can use BootP software or the Ether IP commissioning tool, or you could tap into the default IP address of this unit, access this web server, and change the IP address through there. So really, you have essentially 4 or 5 different ways to configure the IP address of the Ethernet adapter here. And this is just an example for those who are new to network topologies, DLR, and parallel redundancy. These are your resilient technologies. DLR is more the resilient, where if you lose connection to one Ethernet path, it'll default over to a second Ethernet path and find its way to all the other devices through the second branch, or true redundant network topologies utilizing redundant switches in the PRP section there. And star and linear is probably something that a lot of people are familiar with. Now, here's the catalog for release 1. Again, this is just phase 1 of the 5034 release. In phase 2, we'll see the release of additional modules with additional I/O types. So stay tuned. So if you don't see any particular I/O type that you use in your applications here, just let us know and we can find out for you if it's planned for release 2. But typically the AC cards for sure are in release 2. So AC inputs, AC outputs, safety analog inputs and outputs as well. And there are also partner modules. So Rockwell works with a series of technology partners to develop specialty modules for their distributed I/O platforms. And this is the same with the 5034 PointMax, where currently they've released partner technologies from Helm waste scales, Hardy waste scales, Spectrum controls. These are all specialty I/O modules, again, that are not available in the traditional Rockwell catalog, but that niche is covered by Rockwell's technology partners. So waste scales from Helm, waste scales from Hardy. You have sourcing inputs, syncing outputs from Spectrum, and you have pulse train controls, pulse train outputs from AMCI. So that's to control your stepper motors. And that's about it. Well, thank you for tuning in to Talk Tech with Turtle. Again, my name is Anthony. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or any of the Turtle team. And again, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. See you guys next year. Thank you.
Anthony, we do have one question.
Yes.
Does PointMax fast DI/DO support counterfunction?
Yes. So definitely the fast DI, you could do some counterfunction on there. And again, just let us know how fast you're looking to count, and we can look into the specifications and ensure that it meets those meets that speed. If it doesn't meet the speed, we would recommend going with the encoder module for true high-speed counting, I believe up to 4 megahertz.
All right, thank you so much. Anybody else have any questions? All right, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks.